Hey everyone, my name is Maddie Heisey, and welcome to our presentation on Fitbit. Also in my group, we have Harshal, Ayush, and Catherine. Today we'll be speaking to you about our research done on Fitbit's current app and taking you through the process we went through to come to our final design recommendations. Almost a quarter of American adults use an activity tracking watch and its corresponding app, which is a lot of people. So ensuring the app's usability and user-friendliness is extremely important. To do this, our research process included a competitive analysis, user interviews, creating personas and user flows, and then completing a heuristic analysis, which each of my group members will get into later. We first started by doing a competitive analysis between the four most popular activity tracking watches so we can pinpoint the differences of important features. The watches that we looked at were the Apple Watch, Fitbit, Garmin Watch, and Google Fit. We looked at 5 different main feature groups like homepage, the navigation bar, activity, and exercise tracking features, as well as their sleep tracking features and heart health tracking features. Here you can see a screenshot of our competitive analysis. This analysis helped us get a better understanding of how the app worked, and as well as how its components were laid out in its UI. This set a baseline for the next step of our research project, which was user interviewing and surveying.
So heuristic evaluation is a method used in user interface design and usability engineering to evaluate the effectiveness, satisfaction, and efficiency of a user interface. It basically involves a group of evaluators examining an interface against a set of established usability principles known as heuristic, and identifying any potential usability problems or issues that user may encounter while interacting with the systems. So here we have encountered a list of the points in our project. So we'll just go ahead with that. So first is visibility of system status, which means that users should be easily determine the current state of the device and its connection to the application. Second is the consistency and the standards. Here the product should follow established convention for the user interface design to ensure the consistency and ease of use. Next is user control and freedom. It means that the user should be able to easily navigate the device and the application and recover from the errors. Next is error prevention, which simply means that the product should be designed in such a way that it reduces the likelihood of the user errors. Next is flexibility and efficiency of use, where the product should be designed in a such a manner that it should accommodate a wide range of user needs and preferences. Next is aesthetic and minimalist design. Here the product should be visually appealing and not cluttered with unnecessary information or functionality. And the last, which we found out, that the help and documentation, which is very necessary. It's the best if the system doesn't require documentation to work properly, but it may be necessary to provide help and documentation. Any such information should be easy to search, focused on the user's task, list concrete steps to be carried out, and not to be very large, so that user can identify it very easily. So that's it, and the conclusion of our project is like the heuristics can be used to evaluate the Fitbit and identify areas of improvement. Like for example, the system status and the feedback should be clearly visible and timely. The language used in the product should match that of the users, and error prevention mechanism should be in place. So there might be room for improvement, though. Even better error prevention future features could improve the product, such as lowering the risk of user errors with a user-friendly interface. The solution might also offer more guidance and documentation in such situations where user might be unclear how to proceed, and to increase the visibility of the important information and reduce the clutter of unimportant information. The product's minimalist style could be further improved. So the Fitbit has high usability overall according to the heuristic evaluation, but it could still use iterative tweaks and enhancement based on the user input and ongoing usability testing.
Interviewing the users. As a part of the user research report, we conducted two 30-minute interviews with each user, which was gathering information about their demographics, experience with fitness tracking apps, goals, barriers, favorite activities, and preference for tracking workouts. And we took two participants, a 30-year-old athlete and who works out 4 to 5 times in a week, and 42-year-old average user who works out who work out 2 3 times a week. The 30-year-old athlete uses the Apple Watch and has had a positive experience with the fitness tracking watches. And the 42 years old average user uses Fitbit and he has mixed experience with the fitness tracking watches. Next slide. Surveying the users. In this part, we conduct an online survey through a Google form, and this survey aimed to gain a deeper understanding of the objectives, requirements, preference, issues faced by users of activity. For of activity track apps like Fitbit, Apple Activity, German, Gar- Garmin Content, and Google Fit. We conduct an online survey with 6 participants, focusing on questions about individual use activity tracker apps. Their goals, their problems, how the design of the app influence the users, etc. Next slide. And uh, you can see you can see here these are the records of the survey. Uh, Moreover, the survey revealed that the main reason for using activity tracker apps improving health and tracking fitness process. And the most frequent issue that consumer faced are related to data scanning. And also, survey found that there were some difference in preferences among the participants. And in this survey conduct that activity tracker apps should focus on providing users with more comprehensive data analysis and reporting, as well as better integration with other health apps or devices.
Scenario was presented where Wendy, an average adult user, wakes up early and logs her walking workout on the app. Upon completion, the record stays within the Today user area, and she can see where she stands at the time of completion. Later in the day, she selects a new workout from the Discover page and completes it, feeling proud of herself for trying something new. Throughout the day, Wendy receives reminders to drink water and move around, but she needs help remembering to start workouts. Within this scenario, we needed 3 constants: situation, motivation, outcome. For my specific scenario, I wanted to focus in on these 2 screens, Today and Discover, because the usability features could be daunting to a person entirely new to this app. We explore this further in a later section and address them in the conclusions and recommendations. So here, looking at the user flows, we see what already exists and how we can improve it. To improve the user experience, we thought about creating autonomous workout triggers. And this is just for this specific scenario of her logging in and creating a task or not remembering to add the workout to it. And we just see how it progresses through the app and what the user can do, what the user can't do, and what that next step is. So understanding these user types, goals, and relevant behavior variables and significant behavior patterns helped in creating our heuristic evaluation, where the whole group then designed recommendations and assisted in creating features that meet users' needs and preferences. And empathizing with how users will see and use the system we are evaluating. In this section, we will discuss the different user types, their goals, relevant behavior variables, significant behavior patterns, a scenario that exemplifies how the Fitbit app and user align, and a standard user flow of how a user may interact with the system based on specific tasks. Fitbit's app caters to two main user types, the average adult user and the athletic active user. We came to this conclusion after we completed our interviews and assessed how people view exercise in relation to tracking progress. The average adult user aims to live a healthy lifestyle, but tends to skip workouts more often. Their motivation includes things like keeping up with the Joneses, short form attainable goals, and in-app motivational rewards. On the other hand, the active athletic user prioritizes physical activity, aims to increase muscle, hit personal records, and intentionally adjust their workouts based on their tracker's feedback. These users were a bit more disciplined, relied on positive self-talk, and were more likely to participate in community challenges and not be discouraged. With this information, we then individually created personas. I chose the average adult type persona, and in doing so, we create that empathetic piece of how the user will perceive this based on what we know to be accurate about that person, and not what the observer thinks is best. So one persona is Wendy Walker, a user who lives a more sedentary lifestyle due to her job, living in an area where a gym isn't a requirement, because within the app, we didn't find that being at the gym was a requirement, and this data was able to be tracked anywhere and by anyone. Her behaviors link back to those motivational aspects that we discussed, and her needs and goals reflect tasks that can be completed within the app that we are evaluating. Looking at the process so far, we've identified user groups and created a person. Now we need to create a task to evaluate the system based solely on the individual we've created.